I have 3 days in Barcelona, and here's how I spent day 2. We were staying right by Barcelona beach and then headed over to the Gothic quarter to go to a raffia bag making class in the morning. I found this through Airbnb experiences, and it was at a store called Handmade the brand. They sell handmade espadrille shoes and then also host classes to make these sandals, but they also had an option to do bags. I did think we were actually gonna make the bags ourselves, but it ended up being a decorating class. So we started by cleaning the bags off with some water and then cutting off any loose threads. Then we could decide between decorating with a flower or doing some ribbon. I ended up picking probably the hardest thing you could do, but I wanted to make something that I would really like, so I went on Pinterest and finally decided that I wanted to put bon voyage. So I picked my ribbon colors, braided this together, and then they helped me kind of do it in cursive and glue it down onto the bag. It was $61 per person, and there was only one other person in the class with us, so it felt like we had a private workshop. The Gothic quarter had some back alleyways that felt like a little maze. No cars were allowed on some of these streets. We stumbled onto a restaurant called Mi Burrito y Yo. They brought us down into the basement and we had some really good food here. I popped into a market for some juice before heading over to Park Güell to meet up with my dad and brother. I feel like I didn't do enough research on this park before going because I didn't realize that there were multiple entrances. We ended up Ubering all the way to the top of the park, so thank goodness we did not take the steps, but we didn't go in the front entrance, so we did miss a few of the famous spots. It was still really cool to explore, and we did see the Gaudi benches and took some pictures there. My brother had to get to class, so he took us over to his school so we could get a little tour of the campus. It was a lot smaller than I expected. Once he went to class, we stopped at a little coffee shop, ended up finding some scratch-off lottery tickets on the street, and then headed home to rest before heading right back out to cecconi's, which ended up being exactly where we were for the bag making class earlier in the day. And turns out this was also where he's been living for the past few months. But my mom and I had no idea that we were fully in front of his apartment building the whole morning. This is the first time I've seen matchbooks on our entire trip. I wish I had gotten some in Paris. Then we popped over to see his apartment, and it had the most beautiful lofted brick ceilings. After this, we called it a night and headed back over to the beach neighborhood.